Emma Carter grew up in a small town in rural Kansas, surrounded by golden wheat fields and quiet people who lived the same way their grandparents had. Her father, Robert Carter, owned a small construction company that barely stayed afloat. Her mother, Linda, was the kind of woman who believed a daughter's job was to marry well and never talk back. From childhood, Emma knew she was different. While her cousins played house, she was sketching business logos, calculating profits for imaginary companies, and reading biographies of successful entrepreneurs. Her dream was to one day move to New York City, build her own company, and prove that a small-town girl could rewrite her fate. But dreams don't mean much in a family that only values obedience. Her father often said, "You're smart, Emma, but too independent. No man likes a girl who thinks she's better than him." She'd laugh it off, but deep down, it hurt. When Emma graduated high school as valedictorian, she received a scholarship offer from a university in California. It was her ticket out, her chance to finally chase her dreams. But her father crushed that hope with one sentence. "You're not going anywhere. We can't afford to lose your help, and besides, who's going to take care of your mother?" Her mother nodded in agreement, pretending not to see the light dim in her daughter's eyes. The betrayal at 20? Emma's father arranged for her to marry Caleb Foster, a wealthy businessman 15 years older, who had recently moved to town. Caleb promised to invest in Robert's company, but only if Emma agreed to marry him. When Emma protested, her mother said coldly, "Caleb can give you a better life than any college degree." Sometimes love comes after marriage. Emma felt sick. "You're selling me," she said in disbelief. Her father looked away. "I'm securing our family's future." And so, under the string lights of a backyard wedding she never wanted, Emma Carter became Emma Foster, while her dreams died quietly beneath her white veil. The marriage Caleb was charming in public, the kind of man people called successful, but behind closed doors. He was cruel, manipulative, and controlling. He isolated her from friends, mocked her intelligence, and monitored her phone. When she asked to work or study again, he laughed. "Sweetheart, your job is to look pretty and stay out of my way." Within months, the emotional abuse turned physical. The bruises were easy to hide, but the fear wasn't. Every time he raised his voice, she flinched like a child expecting thunder. One night, after another violent argument, Caleb threw her wedding photo across the room and shouted, "You're nothing without me, Emma. You were nothing before me, and you'll be nothing after." That night, as he slept, Emma packed a small backpack, took $200 from his wallet, and walked out the door, barefoot, broken, and shaking. The struggle Emma took a bus to Kansas City, where she rented a cheap room in a rundown motel. She found work as a waitress at a local diner called Sonny's Kitchen, run by an older woman named Marianne Dawson. Marianne noticed Emma's silence, her careful way of moving, and her bruised wrist. But she never asked. She just handed her an apron and said, "Everyone deserves a second chance, honey." Working at the diner gave Emma something she hadn't felt in years: peace. She started baking muffins early in the mornings, and customers loved them. Marianne noticed and said, "You've got a gift, Emma. Maybe one day you'll open your own place." Emma smiled sadly. Maybe, one day. But slowly that maybe became someday, and someday became soon. The rise Emma began saving every tip she earned. She took online business classes at night and learned everything she could about marketing, accounting, and management. When Marianne retired 2 years later, she offered to sell the diner to Emma for a small down payment. Emma jumped at the chance. She renamed it Emma's Table, a warm, cozy restaurant with homemade bread, fresh pies, and a promise that no one would ever leave hungry. Within months, locals began lining up outside every morning. Her story, a young woman rebuilding her life from nothing, caught the attention of a local journalist. The article went viral online. Soon, investors were calling, and within 3 years, Emma's Table became a small but thriving chain across the Midwest. By the time Emma turned 30, she was running a multi-million-dollar company. Her name appeared on Forbes' list of women entrepreneurs to watch. The same girl who was once told she was nothing was now a symbol of strength and survival. The return of the past one gray November morning, Emma was sitting in her glass-walled office in Kansas City, reviewing expansion plans, when her assistant walked in. "There's a family here to see you," she said softly. "They say they're your parents," Emma froze. For a moment, her chest tightened. "Send them in," she said quietly. The door opened, and there they were, her father, mother, and younger brother. They looked older, smaller, and poorer than she remembered. Her father's business had gone bankrupt. The house had been foreclosed. Her mother began to cry. Emma, we made mistakes. We didn't know what he was really like. Please forgive us. We've lost everything. Emma stared at them, these people who had traded her life for comfort. You sold me, she said softly. You let me suffer because it was easier for you. Her father tried to smile weakly. You're successful now. You can help your family. We're still your blood. She leaned back in her chair, calm but cold. Family? Family doesn't sell their daughter to a man for money. Tears streamed down her mother's face. We were desperate, Emma. Your father was drowning in debt. We didn't think he would hurt you. Emma's voice hardened. You didn't think. You didn't care. Silence filled the room. Her father finally whispered, We just need a second chance. Emma looked at him for a long moment, then opened a drawer, pulled out a folder, and slid it across the desk. This is a buyout contract for Carter Construction. I'm buying the company, every asset, every piece of equipment, every memory you ever had of it. It'll be merged under my new firm, Second Chance Industries. You'll still have a home, but not a say. Her father's face went pale. You're buying us out? She nodded slowly. Yes, because I believe in second chances, but not in second betrayals. The twist months later, Carter Construction, once the pride of her father, was thriving again under Emma's management. She hired women from shelters, survivors of abuse, and single mothers. Every worker wore a badge that read, Built to Rise. Meanwhile, her father retired quietly. Her mother never stopped sending letters, though Emma rarely replied. She wasn't cruel. She just knew some wounds healed only with distance. One night, after a charity gala in New York, Emma stepped outside into the cool air. Flashing cameras faded behind her as she looked up at the skyline. Beside her, an interviewer asked, Emma, what drives you the most, success or revenge? She smiled faintly. Neither, she said. It's peace. I just wanted to prove that I could build a life worth living, not to hurt them, but to heal myself. He pressed again. But if they saw you now? Emma laughed softly. They already have. And that's enough. The epilogue years later, Emma's table had restaurants across America. She opened scholarships for women who had escaped abusive homes. And her story became a case study in business schools. On her office wall hung a framed quote she'd written herself. They threw me away like I was nothing. But I grew into everything they couldn't imagine. Every morning, she touched that frame before starting her day. A quiet reminder of how far she'd come, and how luck had finally chosen the right side. Because sometimes luck doesn't fall into your lap. Sometimes you build it, one scar, one dream, and one second chance at a time.